to this episode of the Jacques Cast. I think we're at like number 10 now.
You should at least know.
You don't have to record on that. I'm recording on the computer. You only don't record on that.
Stop pushing buttons.
You're cool. When I run it
Don't
through
push the button.
when I run it through the computer, I don't have to push record on that. Yeah. No, you're fine. The camera looks good. Thank you.
Camera looks good.
So today, I'm going to say we're brought to you by the Greener Side because we're smoking a bunch of herb from the Greener Side.
Yeah.
This Obama Kush is nuts. So Resin Ranchers, killing it. Fantastic.
for real.
Andy's got some wacky shit from them too.
And it's been consistently that way.
Animal cookies. is
Everything
fucking
I've
shit.
had.
Well, it's real nice.
Yeah,
It's
it's
grown right?
is.
Like I've seen a ton of people grow animal cookies. Like that's not a unique strain for somebody to have. And Obama Kush also.
Yeah.
The Black Obama is not an interesting strain for somebody to have, but when it's outstanding in its class of what you've seen people do with it, like nice. And the price point wasn't bad either. It's not like, I don't know, we're in Oregon, so everything's cheap as shit, but
Actually, I do Washington.
You know what was crazy about that though? There was two different
Yeah,
animal
that's pretty
cookies on the
cheap.
list.
yeah.
Two different farms.
Yeah.
Both had different crosses written down for what it was.
Why not?
Yeah, right.
I laughed
So
my
you
ass
try,
off when I
yeah.
saw it.
You send them the test, you try hard, but you know, hey, they're young.
So today we have the legendary farmer Tom
Yes.
with us. It would be hard for me to stop and say, here's what Farmer Tom does, because Farmer Tom does a lot of shit. Welcome, sir. Good to
Thanks,
have you.
gentlemen, for
for
having me
coming.
so much.
Yeah.
Man, I'm super
Down
stoked
from
to be here.
Vancouver. From Vancouver.
Vancouver, Washington?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So
I went to high school in Longview.
Nice.
No.
It wasn't. Were there tweakers back then too?
It was mostly Kelso back then.
Okay.
Like Kelso was the bad side of town, but it was like two direct career paths there. Either you work at the mill for the rest of your life or you don't live in Longview.
Exactly.
And
that's
so
Newburgh.
it's Newburgh?
That's where I grew up. Yeah.
You got mills there?
Oh, the paper mill until it closed a couple years ago. Yeah, it was that or
That lovely smell of the paper mill.
Dude.
they changed it.
Longview's one of those things when you live there,
yeah.
you're totally used to it. But then when you go back now, you're like, how the fuck do you live in this? Like, it smells like farts and all day.
But you can predict the rain.
Oh, yeah, you could smell it coming. What sucked is last time I was there and I wasn't used to the smell. I took a walk in the rain. And my clothes stunk for like 3 washings. Like,
Right. Of that sawdust. Yeah.
yeah, no, just
It's
like
the chip piles.
pulp.
Yeah.
Gross.
It's nice just to drive through.
Yeah.
We were out
Yeah.
there yesterday.
There's some beautiful shit out there.
Oh, no doubt. We went out to Astoria, and went over
Nice.
the bridge, and
Yeah.
that's generally the fastest way to get out there. And looked at some potential grows up there, and
Wow.
On the Oregon side?
yeah, on the Oregon side.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what are you growing?
What?
What are you growing?
Right now?
Yeah. I don't know those.
Out of my small,
Are you doing
personal
hemp?
medical grow,
Yeah.
We're just, what are we growing? We're growing Obama Kush. I'm
Nice.
growing Irene OG and Fire OG.
Nice.
What's Irene OG?
I don't know what the crosses are, but it's real vigorous and it's a bigger plant than like, say, the Obama for sure, which is fat and bushy. This one's a little lankier, and
Yeah.
everybody really likes the strain, so
Nice.
Cool.
that's
Sweet.
what I kind of
Yeah.
ran with this year.
Right. Well, now you just got through teaching one of the first college courses.
No, yeah,
Or
we're
public courses?
into our like 6th semester
Oh yeah.
at Clark College. It's
Okay.
Hell yeah.
it's our 2nd year.
What?
Yeah, I've done bringing your plants to harvest for highest yield. It's a class there, and
Yeah.
we've done the 2nd year. We just finished the other night.
So what is the what?
Nice.
What do
Hold
you
on, is it
teach?
cannabis specific?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cannabis.
Nice.
It's
Yeah.
called Cannabis in Your Health. Is the regular 10-week course, and they have it in the fall and the springtime. And I get to lecture at a few classes on like history of medical marijuana and kind of where all we came from, and this is the reason how it got here, and then a little bit about growing and growing techniques and what you're looking for when you go to the store and that kind of stuff. Just basic information.
Isn't it weird to speak at
Yeah.
a college on a collegiate level about cannabis?
that
It's,
first
it
one
was
like,
it
man?
was blew me away. But they go, I got the permission to teach the class, and I don't know anything about cannabis, and you're the guy in Vancouver, so we got in touch with you. Would you like to do it? And I'm all for sure.
Yeah.
And the next thing I'm doing is sitting down writing syllabuses and class curriculum, and and now we've got classes curriculum that we use each semester.
Really?
Time and time again, but we add on to it. It gets a little bit more in depth and later in the classes. So
You're my dog. I'm over here petting Jim's
I know.
leg.
I'm like, I'm just going with it. Wow. I'm just rolling with it because I don't want to stop the show.
right.
I smoked this Obama. I got wacky.
Okay, I'm just gonna power through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's been really exciting. We have a lot of senior interest. That's
What-
the main interest in the
What
class.
are the kind of people that take that course? It's got to be all over the spectrum.
Yeah, a lot of seniors. A few scientists take them. People
That's
that are
awesome.
interesting to get
Yeah.
into the industry.
Well, it's starting to touch their world.
Yes, definitely. Not so many young people. Mainly seniors. Mainly seniors who want to get off all the
Right.
prescription medication.
Hold on, Jim. Seriously, you think younger kids already know everything about fucking
Yeah.
growing
Right,
weed?
exactly.
What the fuck are you gonna teach them, man?
If I had seen that, I would have done it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
they're all already pro
Right.
growers and looking
Oh,
for
no
that
doubt.
$250,000 contract. Man, they don't need this shit.
Right?
They should teach the course.
They have the internet.
Right.
Like,
Right, exactly.
And, yeah, Facebook.
Yeah,
group.
that's what the feds told me.
Yeah.
Well, we had the honor of educating for the first time the agents from the federal government on our farm
That's right.
in 2015. And like this was the anniversary. Today's the 11th. Was the day they showed up in 2015.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So it's kind of
Thank you for being
that's
here.
why I'm kind of talking about it today. So they knew nothing about cannabis, and I got on the phone with 10 agents from the CDC and NIOSH, and I asked them, where are you getting your information? Oh, YouTube. I'm going, man, that's kind of not fair to our industry. Wouldn't you like for me to, my line was, wouldn't you like me to introduce you to the industry? That's my tagline for, can I educate you on cannabis? Can we bring some people in who really know what they're talking about? We get a wide variety of speakers in here and show the different machinery and what we're doing. And it's all about workplace health and safety. So you want to know about scissors and trim machines and all these different things. And they came to my farm and turned my farm into a secure location where federal agents can learn and touch and handle cannabis. Because they were there for 5 days.
Wow.
Thus, from the whole deal, it worked out really good. We had them there for 5 days. The first 2 days on our farm, we brought in JD from Skunk Farm Research to teach them all about, concentrates and all the different kinds of concentrates. That's always a big thing with governments. They think concentrates, BHO, blowing up, death, all this stuff, So we really have to educate them on solventless and CO2 and RSO and all the other different varieties out there. So we got the chance to do that, and I brought in Dana from Goat Labs and
Nice.
and a bunch of my friends and trimming machines and all this stuff. And
Now there
it was
is a
great.
video, if I remember right, floating around of you in chainmail, or the
In what?
guard. Didn't you put on giant guards in the video and showed them how?
A what?
Way back, the chainmail, so you don't cut yourself, cut your hands.
No, they had us hooked up to a cyber glove.
That's okay. That's
So when
right.
they came twice. I go, why don't you come before you actually do the HHE and we're under inspection and you guys are documenting all this stuff. Why don't you come for 2 days and we'll get you a quick rundown on what's going on, where we at in the business. So then they came back in October and I scheduled for Waylock in October. But it was 2015. It was that magic year, that went on forever,
Yeah.
And so I was able to still have 10 plants to harvest because they wanted to see us harvest. And bucking and big leafing. So that was all about the first, not bucking, but just big leafing and harvesting. Second day, we had product ready to be bucked down. So we did a whole day of that. We wanted to give them a day of everything because they were putting testers and monitors on us to collect the dust and stuff like that because their big concern is mold and stuff, black mold.
Oh, okay.
The original reason the money came through and they were able to do it is because the police union in Denver filed a complaint saying that they're afraid their officers, OSHA complained that their officers were getting, by being around all this mold and stuff, and especially black mold, gram-negative bacteria. Right. So they actually brought in Kraton, who had been spending the last 2 years in Africa looking at dead Ebola victims. The black mold was such a concern that they flew him in straight to my farm.
No, not my farm.
Yeah.
Not my farm.
Not
You're
my
going-
farm. Well,
you're
they-
gonna decontaminate somewhere, then you come over here.
Yeah.
You were studying the Ebola virus in Africa, and now you're here? No.
I I didn't learn that till later. But anyways, they came for 2 days.
course.
They came for 2 days. We got to educate them, but their main concern was black mold.
Yeah.
You know, and I have some things we could talk about later if we have enough time. But that happened, and then they actually came for the 3 days. We harvested, we bucked one day, and then we trimmed for one day. And they hooked us up to a cyber glove that track repetitive motion. And I brought in some of the best trimmers around and some of the worst. Brand new trimmers around, and we all gave them like a half hour.
Nice.
And they collected all the data, and they just published a report. You probably saw earlier this year where it said trimming can cause carpal tunnel.
Imagine that.
Well, right? We all know that with like crab claw,
Yeah.
mid-December, you know, every day. You know, so
I've trimmed so much weight by hand that now when I do it, literally at the end of the night, I can't. Like
Right.
the fingers stick, right?
Yeah.
You can't move. So Deborah has to spread my fingers apart.
no doubt,
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Where's my disability check? Damn it.
right? So we got to do that. That was really exciting, you know, and like we hugged when they came and we hugged when they left. And,
I was gonna say, how was that first meeting? That had to
Oh,
be
it was
like
awesome. You know, I brought in, we had a pop-up, like my friends from Seattle Super Chronics, a mobile pop-up cafe. They did a
Oh, wow.
pop-up, and then we had full vegetable garden at the time, so we harvested everything from our garden.
Oh,
He
wow.
brought in a chef. He made all these rad dishes and stuff, and yeah, it was amazing. So we fed him, and me and my lawyer met him at the gate, basically gave him a big hug, and you know, I'll show you pictures of them. They're just big teddy bears. They look like us, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
old ladies, bigger guys like
Yeah.
James is a bigger guy like us. Just some of the
Are you,
sweetest people.
are you allowed to say? Did any of them partake?
No, they didn't. You know,
Yeah.
they're PhD scientists. You know,
Yeah.
we were
But
giving
what
them their
better way to get to know what you're working with
Right.
than
Well,
sample the fruits
they
of said
wanted-
labor?
They hinted that they would like to, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So-
But it's, I mean, down the road
They're
when
on,
when
they're on
not-
the clock
when
and
they're on the
government
clock-
employees.
Yeah.
I get it. I
I mean,
get
they
it.
got tested when they went back both
Oh, I'm
times.
sure.
Oh, sure.
You know, and so, but they watched us smoke. You know, on the first day, it was kind of, you know, I've been an advocate of cannabis for a really long time. Pretty much my whole life. And you know, the first morning of the first day, we have the first class set up, and we all went up and smoked a couple joints and did a couple dabs, and then we walked over to them and said, "Now we're going to educate you guys.
Wow.
You get one chance to be the first guy to get a crack at educating the federal government for
Yeah.
the first
Yeah.
time. And next time it's not going to be me. Next time it's some suit and tie, white, you know, scrubs, the whole 9 yards. Everybody's in hairnets. It was just, you know,
Right.
like us on our farms, you know, doing what we do.
Right.
So yeah, it was a great opportunity. I'm really blessed with the honor of being able to stand up for cannabis like that. So
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's
History.
awesome.
yeah,
That's
Sweet.
got to be like, that's amazing.
it is. You know, it's been a long haul. You know, me and my wife been doing this a long time. Paula was the part of the first collective garden in San Diego County, total
Wow.
redneck county, in 1996. You know, our collective started in 97 and 99. I got arrested with Steve McWilliams for 448 plants at our collective called Shelter from the Storm. And how you became a member of our collective is you brought a light, and then you paid $50 a month, and then you volunteered a little time in the garden, and then you got to take what you wanted. So we would
Wow.
hang the plants up, and they would go in, and the patients would go in and take what they wanted. We give a little description of, you know, what strain it was, and what we thought the effects were,
Right.
and let them take what they want. So they arrested us, and Paula saved my life that day, and thus our love story started.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, she was so amazing that day. Back in the day, if you didn't have media coverage, you were dead in the water. They were going
Right.
to sweep you away, and you
Right,
were
you were-
gone.
you were
Nobody knew
screwed.
anything. You
Right.
were history.
Yeah. You had to scream.
So we had been real active in the community down there. So we had worked with the government, you know, with the city and stuff. We'd been to the town council meetings. We put our pot plants up there. They knew who we were. So the mayor was, so anyways, working with the San Diego city government was good. We got busted. They busted us for 448 plants. They gave us our lights back, and they even let us start our collective back up.
Wow.
And my buddy, quadriplegic buddy, Michael Bartelmo, who was highly active in the cannabis community down there. I popped a light up and built 2 walls. We finished because the rest of the community started giving us, you know, starts to go with.
Oh,
and
right.
yeah.
So they came out and helped and backed you.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
affected that many people.
Yeah, so
yeah.
that's how kind
Well,
of
you
it
have-
started.
Your collective, you had Micro Growers Guild was a similar.
Yeah, it was
Not-
more. It was more
yeah.
of a guild and not a bunch of plants all in
Yeah.
one place. I am not going to say that I've never done anything on the black market, but back when this was like when they were getting real close to letting us be more legal, and so we kept it as legit as humanly possible. But then all of the medicine would come together into a kitty and help people out, kind
Yeah,
of thing.
right.
You know.
Well, our collective, they busted us for 448 plants, but it was August. It was second week in August. We had, red Dixie cups scattered everywhere. Like 300 plants were,
Right.
we're
That's-
just infants.
That's kind of what drives me nuts about how they quantify you getting in trouble with weed. It's plant count.
And
Rec
each one's a pound, guaranteed.
kind of right. Rec kind
1,000 a
of
pound.
Yeah, exactly.
4,000.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
high grade.
Rec
yeah.
kind of has it right as far as I'm concerned by its square footage. That
Definitely.
makes sense.
Yeah.
If I have 200 plants in solo cups or one plant in a 450, I'm gonna tell you, I'm probably gonna get more fucking weight off the one plant in the 450. So just
Guaranteed.
the whole plant count thing. So according to them, you had 400 and however many plants, which probably equates to about 80,000 pounds, right?
Somewhere
and
in
I
there.
think it's like $250,000 a pound is what it's going for in the market. Yeah, dude,
Well, they didn't press charges.
That's
and-
excellent.
And they didn't want me, really. They wanted the other guy. And then he immediately wanted the media attention. And so he planted 100 plants within his little 10 by 10 square foot space in his
Oh.
front yard. Feds came, busted him,
Right.
and, he went on his way, and
was-
Paula
yeah.
and I
Yeah.
went on our way.
Yeah.
We moved to Williams, Oregon after that, and then we've been on our farm for 15 years.
Wow.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so
Wow.
we love it. Yeah, so it's been a long journey, culminating with the federal government, and it's been an honor, to
Right.
be a part of that
Step
whole deal. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and to be the only federally recognized cannabis farmer, it's a kind of a responsibility for me to.
No, it's awesome. Don't screw it up. Don't make
Well,
us
I won't,
don't
don't
make us
worry.
look
Right.
bad.
No.
Yeah, that's in good hands.
Well, I had to be vetted before,
Right.
so we always
Right.
played by the laws. Like, our collective in San Diego and everything, we played by the rules. We had the amount of plants for the amount of patients that
Right.
we had, and the city didn't like it, and so. But the mayor wasn't happy at all. She was pissed at her police department that,
Yeah.
he went in and raided all of us and hassled people, and we had AIDS patients and quadriplegics and
Right.
Right.
old people and young people and.
Not
Yeah.
the right people to be.
No, and it was called Shelter from the Storm for a reason, because back then in San Diego, individually, they were picking us off.
Right.
But we thought if we banded together as a group, more diverse group, we all standed a chance to survive.
Right.
Yeah.
Smart.
Plus, that
Smart.
brings out the people you want to be around.
Oh, for sure. It was
Yeah.
it was our community, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. The people that like you.
Did
Yeah.
it come back then after that, or was that the end of it?
What?
Did it survive? You guys getting all arrested?
Yeah, we got busted, and they took all the plants, and then they coerced the owners of the property to kick us all out, and they kicked everybody out.
So that was the end of it.
Yeah, that was the end of that. Well, we had Mike at Michael's house for a little bit, and then we had another couple growers. We were all for a little bit, and then we moved to Williams, Oregon, because I just wanted to get out of San Diego and chill out a little
That
bit.
is a
Clearly away from people.
huge difference between San Diego,
Yeah.
California, and Williams, Oregon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I've been a surfer and a outdoors person my whole life, so I spent a lot of solitude time in Mexico by myself surfing, and so I was okay with Williams.
Oh yeah, me too. That's
Williams is
much
a-
more my direction.
Exactly, And we went from one extreme to the other. I mean, we were all excited about communes and communities, and although it sounds really great, and until you actually see
Yeah.
one, you know that you probably want your own farm, and you
Right.
probably want,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I'm using the money system.
right? Exactly. And then the work system. Like if you're a farmer, guess what? You're doing all the work.
right,
Right.
right.
Your love is agriculture. Great. Yeah. I love to write music. And I like to knit. So, anyways, not harping on the knitters or the you
Yeah.
know, the musicians. Or,
Yeah, farm sucks.
Yeah.
It's hard work,
It's
no
hard
doubt
work.
about it.
Yeah.
People glamorize it, and and it's really hard work once you get down to it.
Yeah.
So you do a lot of speaking and a lot of speaking engagements, and I believe that's definitely where we met for the first time, was one of the Canagros.
I think San Diego for sure.
Was it San Diego?
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was a
That was a
blast.
good one. Yeah, there was a lot of cool people at that. And I know you did some speaking down in the Carolinas, South Carolina.
Yeah,
Emily
they're-
McSherry. She says hi.
Oh, I love that lady, man.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the best events that I've ever done with her down there.
Yeah.
She really treated me beyond just like nobody else. So
Really?
she's just an amazing lady.
Great.
And they had a great event, and I was stoked that they were able to pull it off, because I knew it was a big question down there, and so it's conservative. And it was amazing because we're like used to shows that are 3 days and we're all smoking everywhere. And
Right.
this
Right.
like thing started at 1 o'clock. Boom, started at 1 o'clock. After 4:20, 5 o'clock, building's clear, parking lot's gone, everybody's gone home, and they're all going, yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
We
Wow.
pulled it
run,
off.
Run, run, run.
Well,
Yeah.
well, kind of, in states like that where it's
Mm-hmm.
ultra conservative, you need a success like that to
Yeah.
keep everything going,
And then peace the fuck out.
right?
Do not,
Exactly.
do not push it.
Don't
No,
press your
don't
luck.
push it at all.
I think everyone that we've been at together, it just always seems to devolve into debauchery.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even before the last session's out, like, people are just like
Yeah.
fucking raring to go.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's just kind of
definitely.
the.
So yeah, I like speaking. Looks like we're going to be speaking to Spanibus next year.
Hell
Went
yeah.
to
I was
Spain
going to
this
ask you
year.
about Europe. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
What's going on for you over there?
Man, well, like 4 years ago, it's got to be close to 5 maybe. These cats from Barcelona landed in Seattle, and they got in touch with me through Instagram and said, "Hey, Farmer Tom, we want to come down to your farm." And I said, "Come on down." And they were going to stay a day, and they ended up staying a month. And
Wow.
we educated them about cannabis and cannabis production and organics, and I got them on like a TV show, and I got them in some magazines, and just helped them around. And they,
I don't know. Dog's being weird.
yeah,
That's all right.
Every episode.
Huh?
We could have an earthquake.
There's probably a car pulled up or something.
Elsa's not happy.
Well, she should be inside, where good dogs live. Go ahead.
so yeah, they ended up spending a few weeks. We introduced them to future business partners and stuff. And anyways, they got a couple of hold of some seeds from my wife.
That's right.
1 year we always grow her amnesia haze, and that's her medicine, that's her go-to. And we had a power kush across the way, and they made love, and we ended up with some seeds, and they talked Paul out of some seeds, and she sent them back with them, and it turned out to be this really beautiful phenotype that's won a bunch of competitions over there, enhanced competitions. It's a real big producer of trichome, so everybody really likes it, and it has a unique smell. So when I went over there last March, it was the first time I got to taste it. It was amazing. Everybody kind of knew me over there, which was
So you
Nice.
hadn't even tasted it.
no,
and
I
it's
hadn't
just
even
this big
tasted
thing
that
over-
one. No,
Right.
never.
Wow, how crazy.
Sometimes when breeding, Jim, you send your babies out into the universe, and you
never know where they're gonna end up.
Sometimes you never meet them. You know, like
Right.
Most of the time, you never be in.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
of the time you never do.
yeah.
So, yeah, it was really cool. They had a Farmer Tom night meet and greet, and Spanibus was amazing, and they
Yeah.
invited me back next year to speak. So I'm super excited about that.
Your posts were awesome through that phase. Like, you clearly were having fun.
Oh,
And
those
just
guys
were
rolled out
inspired
the
and,
red
like,
carpet. I
yeah.
can't say enough to my friends at Greenardo's over there. They totally laid out the red carpet. They got the Farmer Tom cut of the Amnesia Haze over there, and
'Cause this
they've done
industry's
so
a
much.
crapshoot. That could have went really wrong.
Oh, totally. It could have been bad.
Yeah, you could get there, it's
But
like
you just
nothing,
got to
you
keep
know?
showing up with a good
Right.
attitude, and
Right. Yeah,
you
that's
know,
what we do.
if you're doing things for the right reason, things work out.
It'll
So
happen,
you
yeah.
just got to keep going. You know what I
what it
mean?
is.
And in this industry, you got to put your blinders on, and you got to be like a duck because you got to let the shit
Well-
roll off, and you just kind of got to go. I'm
Saturday,
doing my thing.
yeah.
You're doing your thing. Go
Right,
for you. Go
right.
for you're doing your. I'm doing my thing. You
I
know what I
watched
mean?
you do
And-
that on Saturday off and on at the expo.
Yeah.
Expo. You were just kind of like, oh, okay. okay, you just absorb it and roll on.
Oh
you know,
yeah,
you have to.
no doubt
There's a
about
lot
it.
of
We've
kooks.
been doing this a long time. I bought my first can. It was a Folgers coffee can, full of weed when I was like 13 years old, and I remember breaking it out and putting it into brown paper bags. And then selling it to a couple of friends. So it actually started back in the can days, and that was before the lid. You know.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Well, how it worked was you had the coffee can,
Uh-huh.
and the lid was the coffee can lid. You would put the weed amount of weed that fit on the
right.
lid, and that was generally
Should be about 4 joints.
yeah
Right.
The lid.
the-
Oh, I know what you're talking
the
about.
lid,
Yeah.
man, and the
Yeah.
can. We can't forget about the old days.
That's
Should be
crazy.
about 4 joints.
Once you get rid of the seeds and the stems, right?
Yes. Right.
It looked like a lot,
How often was
but
there
once you
still
got down
coffee?
to it,
Huh?
How often was there still coffee grounds in that can?
You know,
Also-
it couldn't make it smell worse.
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
you had actually probably added to the aroma
Yeah.
profile for sure.
Earthy terps.
No doubt.
it was the brick for sure, but like, it was so fucking cheap, and you could smoke it all day and not like worry about it breaking your bank.
Right.
Because you could get an ounce for like the same you get for a case of beer, right?
Yeah.
So it was just like so cost effective, and
Yeah.
you'd smoke it and you get that really fucking gnarly headache, but you power through it. And then after that headache, you get high enough that your headache goes away and you're like, this doesn't completely suck. Like, all right, cool.
Right?
We're so spoiled now.
Oh.
I know, it's amazing.
They're all so spoiled.
But I grew up in San Diego, and Tijuana was so close. So we were always getting,
Spoiled.
yeah, in the fall, and during Christmas, we always had those buds. And then I remember in like the late 70s, we started seeing it coming down with the Christmas tree guys out of Oregon, probably
yeah,
coming
yeah.
from
From
just
us,
this
yeah.
area
Yeah,
right
yeah.
here.
I worked on a Christmas tree farm. Yes.
Yeah, and they were
Very
hauling
familiar
it
with
down
that.
to San Diego, and that's how the prime bud got back there in the day. So
Oh yeah.
you guys
And it
always
was-
grew fire up
And there
here.
was no. That was clean too. There was no PM or nasties.
No, it was good.
No,
Yeah,
because
wrapped
The only
well.
thing there
people
was-
took time and love with it.
yeah.
It was the hippie culture of the Oregon area, and like, maybe organic and sustainable and things like that are buzzwords now, but back then it was just like, this is how you live,
This
this
is
is
what
the
you
way
do.
of life, and like,
This is how you
and so
grow.
the stuff coming up from Mexico had who the know, your
knows?
band-aids and
Bottle
thumbnails and
Bottle caps.
My friend Roger Hersey's grandpa was so concerned about us smoking paraquat that he put a greenhouse in his backyard and grew pot for us to smoke, so we wouldn't smoke the Mexican.
nice man.
And he also made the first bamboo bong, one of the first bamboo bongs I ever saw. So it had a regular bamboo bong, and it was all waxed, and then it had a smaller bamboo piece that went in it. And then in that, we used the old soapstone bowls. Remember those things?
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, it had soapstone bowls, and in a little, and your carb was you pull the bowl out, and the soapstone never got hot. That was the
you used to
preferred
have the-
smoking
Do you remember
method
the
back in the day.
Remember the soapstone pipes that came out,
used to have one.
always
My parents
carved
had
with
one.
some sort
right?
of
Because they wanted it.
some sort of Incan carving on it or
Yes.
something was pretty
Yeah.
pretty normal. Yeah,
Sacred
but that was like a
geometry.
great pocket pipe.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
no
like,
doubt.
if anybody ever rolled up on you, just throw it to a gravel field and it's like, what? My what?
Right.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Well, awesome. What is coming up? Anything cool? Doing anything?
I'm going to be speaking at Hempfest all 3 days.
When is that?
The 17th, 18th, and 19th, end of next week. So,
Next week.
Next week is
Yeah.
packed.
yeah, Hempfest is a big deal up in Washington for us. Those guys have really done an excellent job over the years of normalizing cannabis and putting on a really good show. The shows are really getting, those kind of festivals are kind of losing their luster. And I'm kind of, I really don't know why the small stores and the farmers aren't participating in those
Right.
things more,
Right.
I know it's hard to be in business for sure. It's really tough to be in business in both Washington and Oregon because
Right.
it's been a race to the bottom, and we could do a whole show on that.
Oh yeah.
And you probably already have.
Yeah.
It's a hot topic.
it's a
Yeah.
topic of
We
discussion.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can grow pounds for $25. You're an asshole.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had that discussion. But also, it's how cutthroaty this industry became so fast. It
Oh, it's
was
ugly.
well, even here in like Eugene, there was a few of us that had the audacity to have clubs open before there were stores, right? And things started to shift, and people medical was right around the corners. People started buying up shop space, started putting signs in their windows, and so it was us in the greener side, and like our intention was to start reaching out to these stores as they came online or people started coming along, and like kind of bring them into the local fold and like introduce them to the community that
Right.
we've built and all of this stuff. And it was like brick wall after brick wall. This is business. We're here to conduct business. We're not trying to get involved with any groups or anything. And I'm like, whoa,
Whoa.
changed that fast from like this whole community of people who the greener side and us like built a lot of this community in Eugene.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like now there's how many stores?
80?
8,000, whatever,
Literally 80 in Eugene's
yeah,
brother.
just
Really?
on
And
every
Just
corner,
stacked
everywhere.
up on each other.
And
Man.
like nobody
You know.
knows anyone anymore.
4 liquor stores.
4 liquor stores?
4 liquor stores, 80 cannabis stores.
Yeah. And so
Did they have strip clubs here? Are
Yeah.
they competing with Portland? So,
Right.
we do have strip clubs. Not very many though.
Not like Portland.
not
Yeah.
like Portland.
No.
There's a problem.
No, but it was
It's like coffee shops.
it changed so
Brew
fast
clubs.
from a family feel and a community feel to a like we're going to take you out of business. We want the money, we want the market share type of feel. And it was like understandable, that's got to happen,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like how rapidly it fucking devolved
Oh,
into
no
just
doubt.
like infighting and bullshit.
Throat punching.
It's a thirsty event going on out there, and it ain't getting any prettier.
No.
And it's going to be a rude awakening for people.
People still keep putting money into it.
I
Open
know.
New stores.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
And you see them still growing outdoor.
So I
tomorrow.
guess my
Oh,
point
yeah.
about the race and all of this is like it doesn't have to be like this. It
No,
really
it
doesn't.
No.
If the farmers and the people doing the work and everybody got together, cooperated, set what minimal prices or like they do in California, like
That's
people
what
in
I was just gonna
California
say.
aren't shoveling under each other.
No.
They're not. That's not what's happening. Here's how much it costs. Here's the price. They're setting prices. They're not getting pushed around and
There's good 8 groups down there. I was down there, and we're going back down again. There's like the Humboldt Growers Guild, and they have 250 farms.
Yeah.
And then there's like a bunch of them in each little valley down there.
Yeah.
And I really like how they're not so cowboyish like
Yeah.
us guys up here, and they're more like, well, let's get together as a microclimate in this special terroir because our weed is a little bit different from Garberville's weed, and Garberville's weed's a little bit different from the Willits weed, and the Mendo, well, they rule the world, But
yeah.
but it's nice how they've all collectively got
Yeah.
together, and they know they can't make it alone.
Right.
And I really love that. I'd really like see some things like that happen in Washington and Oregon.
Yeah.
I don't know if it can happen
I was
because
gonna
it's
say,
so
you
far
think it
down the
can
road.
happen?
It doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
But
No, I think from the rubble of the epic train wreck that's happening
Yeah.
right now, I think you'll see things like that arise. Looking back, Vision's obviously 2020 for all of these people getting crushed, but I think it's going to teach a lot of valuable lessons that maybe the way we were doing it in the first place was the right way to do things. And I don't know. None of my guys seem to have a hard time competing because we all stick together. And
exactly.
We're in
and
a
it could
special-
have been a larger movement to protect the local people and protect the people that do good business and have good business practices and make sure the money went to the right places and the right kind of people. But
I said it
You
on
know.
the show the other day how much I admired you guys and you guys sticking together. You're a close knit group, and
Yeah.
you guys are doing good because you are close knit, and everybody, does quality product, and there's a marketplace for that. So you
Yeah.
guys do a really good.
I
well
think it just
got
kind
the
of comes
network.
from the quality
rare.
of people I like
Yeah.
hanging
Yeah.
out with.
Oh, definitely. Right.
You know,
For sure.
Like they give a shit.
yeah,
which
definitely.
is nice.
Which is nice, right?
Yeah. It's not just about farming.
Yeah, exactly.
It's whole life. I
It
know
is.
I know about your kids.
Yeah,
I know, and it's just it is life changing.
it is.
And I wish other people could get that.
Well,
It's rare.
the money people are in it now.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
It's not.
But
a
then
pretty
also,
sight.
you know, that circle is it may be a little. It's not even tight because whoever's cool just gets into it.
Yeah.
Like it's not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then even like our little bigger circle, like we just had Propane Jane on the
Yeah.
show. We
Yeah.
have you on the show
Yeah.
today. Like that circle
Oh.
of people are just like rad fucking people.
Yeah.
Like we're really blessed with the kind of folks that.
Well, when we talk about guests, it's not very hard. Like, because we know a lot of
Oh yeah.
genuine people doing genuine things. you
Yeah.
know.
There's a lot of great people in this community. It
Yeah.
definitely took all of us to get here.
Right.
And hopefully someday we can get it all back.
Yeah.
Oh, I think so. You know, but by whose rules that sucks.
Yeah.
But beyond that, like it's got to crash at some point, right? Having the tier 2 farm and putting out shitty outdoor year after year after year and expecting to get more than $100 a pound for it, like those days are done.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
So what do you
No,
see this
now
fall?
everybody's-
Well, it
Sees
weeds
the
out a
basic-
bunch of people because
Yeah.
once it's not sustainable, and the money dries up, and that only
Yeah.
takes really a couple of years, even on a big investment.
Yeah.
It takes a couple of years, and then the market's been so saturated. Oregon can consume 400,000 to 500,000 pounds.
Right.
I
And
know
they're
of
growing,
3
you know.
farms that last month stopped. Just said we can't fund this anymore, and they are all outdoor farms, so they
That's
are in
done.
the fucking heat of it. And before we even got to harvest, it
Yeah.
dried up and they're done. You know,
I mean, yeah.
scary
To get your
shit.
head around that. Like,
Like you're
couldn't
almost
make it
there.
3
It's
months.
August.
Yeah.
Like
But you're not
Like
gonna
you're
be able to
right
sell it.
there. Yeah.
How bad
You're
was
not
it?
right there.
No,
What are you gonna
but
do
how
with
bad
it?
was it before?
And then
they
there's the light
unfold?
depth and all that kind of stuff too. So everybody's
light depth's starting to hit right now.
yeah.
There's some dank ass light depth coming out right now.
You are Lord of the Flies.
I know, they're all over me. It sucks. At
Flies
least they're
everywhere.
attacking me, I hope, more than other people, because it is absolutely a shit show out here.
Are we gonna do a break and come back? Or are we gonna do the whole?
Where are we at? What time we at,
You should
Andy?
check the smoker.
Yeah. All right.
Check the smoker.
Then we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And
I want
we
to talk. When we get back more about what
Yeah.
he's up to.
Sounds good. So we'll be back momentarily with Farmer Tom.
Thanks, guys.
Cool.
And we're back. We checked on the meat. It looks black and crusty, and I think that's good because it's pork belly, and you're doing all burnt ends. Is that the idea?
So black and crusty is the goal.
Yeah.
Now soaking
And
in
there's
barbecue
no nipples.
That doesn't sound bad. That's fucked up, dude. You know it is.
So that's got a
saw a
little bit
picture
of
of
time
bacon with
before
nipples
we're,
last night.
before we
Right.
get started.
You're making
So we'll
us
go
nipples.
ahead and bust out about another 20 minutes here, I
Yeah.
think. That'll put us right at about an hour. So instead of just talk, what are we?
What do you
You
want?
have, you have questions.
Yeah, no, I'm just. What else do you want to talk about?
Yeah, what do you want?
Projects,
I
anything?
want to
Yeah.
talk about.
Yeah.
I'm not used to ask. Not usually used
No,
to being
man.
asked that question.
What's important?
Yeah.
What's important to you right
you
now?
doing?
What's your jam?
Well, plastics are my jam
That's
right,
right.
now, and single-use plastics and
Tube tubes.
Yeah, doob tubes.
Yeah, I'm right there with
when I
you.
found them in my ditch in front of my farm out in the middle of nowhere, kind of pisses me off. And then
Yeah.
you know where
Clear
that
out
stuff is.
there.
Yeah, we found them in our ditch. And
It gets
that's
to
kind
the-
of when it hits home. You know what I mean?
Big
It
time.
sucks.
Big time.
And cannabis has got to get rid of the freaking Mylar bags, and
Mm-hmm.
they've got to come up with some new tactics
You gotta
because
recycle those jars.
the microplastics problem we have in the oceans and our water and our food supply. It's real big time worldwide problems.
the worst thing that-
The oceans are dying. Look what's happened in Florida because of the agricultural processes and the beet growing down there. I mean, and
Well,
it all
now
can
also
be mitigated by
China
organic farming.
China has now started denying our plastic recycling we send to them, the types of plastics we don't recycle here, but they recycle there.
Right.
They have started turning them away.
Wow.
And so now there's a whole new class of plastic that really has nowhere to go except for straight into the dump. And then the amount of plastics that, like in Eugene, it's like you can recycle this type. Well, everybody thinks all plastic's recyclable. That's, only one type of plastic, like, is recyclable. So
Yeah.
it's,
Is it the milk jug? Or is it the cap?
No, like you can recycle the
Number
bottle.
2 plastic, right? Isn't
But
it?
the caps, you can't. Caps are garbage.
Yep.
But if you send it to the recycle place with the cap on, they ain't gonna take the time to take the cap off. Just goes into the fucking trash chute. So like, so much plastic's such a pain in the ass, and there's so much that could maybe. Yeah, there's no easy answer though, right? Because making plastic is really fucking cheap, and trying to get people to stop making plastic, they have a lot of money. You know, so it's one of those fights, like, I guess you got to change it industry at a time. And so that's kind of what you're looking to do, tackling the cannabis industry
We're a
and the
new
waste of
industry.
packaging.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to get on top of that issue and really talk about it. I know a few people are. It's just, you just see the amount of trash in the world.
It's one of my
know?
wife's big ones is dispensary packaging
Oh,
and how
man,
wasteful
it's
it is.
horrible. Yeah. Way overpackaged. Well, there's still the fear of THC. It's all about, all the rest of the cannabinoids.
Well,
are
they
fine.
have to be able to keep
Right.
children out of them. And like, I know Pop Tops are like widely used as like the thing, right? Like, who the fuck is that keeping out, right?
Nobody.
Like, my hands aren't strong. Like, it just pops open in your pocket. Like, it's really
Yeah.
not. So the ability to start using something that is quickly biodegradable or as a packaging solution, one, for the cannabis industry, we should be doing anyways, because cannabis is a crop that does have a shelf life. So the idea of putting it in a Mylar bag and putting it on a shelf and it sells when it sells,
It horrifies me.
Yeah.
Well, when you walk into a lot of stores here, we have deli style, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you just look at some of the oxidized buds that are just still sitting in jars. You know it's been there for at least a year, probably longer. Like outdoor 2 years ago. And it's like still on shelves. Well, this is our bargain stuff, $1 a gram. Well, shit. It has an expiration date as far as I'm concerned. And yes, by putting it into a package like a Mylar or nitrogen filling it or whatnot, you can extend that shelf life. But I don't. This does nothing for me. Like, just put it in a little paper bag or
Oh, right.
whatever, or let me bring in my own jar.
I love
Make
the
that
jars.
recyclable.
I love the restash jars that guy makes. He's got the.
If they would just allow
Yeah.
me to bring in my own glass nug jar, I got plenty of those, and put my weed in this jar, thank you. Like,
Yep.
like the grocery stores are doing now, where it's like, we don't even have bags anymore. If you didn't bring your bags, like, you got to buy one.
They do make you pay for the exit bags a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, those little zipper bags, but they work like twice, and then they break, and then you're.
They work pretty good. I usually carry it around then sometimes. They
Yeah.
work pretty good.
I always have a problem with the.
I have a
little-
collection of them.
But of course, they're made out
Right.
of. They're made out of fucking plastic too.
Mylar.
Like,
Oh, and they're all complicated and blended.
it's just wacky.
Yeah.
Like, if you're that worried about your kids getting into your weed, and like that's that big of a problem, your kids getting into your weed, then why doesn't alcohol from the liquor store come in a fucking metal locked box? Like, why are cigarettes in a cardboard thing you can just open up? Like, it.
Yeah.
Way, and I understand, let's regulate the industry to keep the feds off our back and blah de blah, but it's a real disconnect in the maturity level of what they trust the liquor and the tobacco people with compared to what they treat cannabis with. It's like, I just want to get that fucking candy so I can go out and hand it to a bunch of underage kids. Like,
Right.
I'm just fucking frothing to do it. I'm going to drop this on the ground and walk away, and some kids are going to get fucked up. Like,
The packaging. covers in that
I mean,
case.
who even thinks like that, man? I want
Right.
to take it I want to take it, go surfing, whatever I want to
Right.
do in my life.
No,
and I
man.
want to smoke it, man. I don't want to turn anybody.
I'm going to
onto
drop
it.
this bag of gummy bears on the corner, and I'm going to wait and watch. Like, come on, man. It's like the every year with the fucking Halloween thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
make sure to check all your kids' candies. Make sure they're not getting edible fucking marijuana. Who is making edibles and giving them to fucking kids? That shit's expensive.
Yeah, no
like,
doubt. Not anybody I know,
You're gonna
that's
get
for
caught.
sure.
but
Right?
you're obviously going to get caught. Like, here, have a fresh baked brownie. Huh? Like, what? Nobody's handing your kid
Why would
fucking
you want to do
edibles.
that? Because if they had a bad experience, then they're never going to be a cannabis consumer when they get older.
Yeah.
You're getting
Right.
rid of your customer base.
Yeah.
That's the whole
I'm-
thing
I'm
with,
still
with
thinking
about
bad
a
cannabis.
loss.
Yeah.
I can give them a 5-cent Snicker or a $20 edible. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna get all these kids. It's gonna cost me $500, but
What a year.
so the amount of responsibility that we're not like, do they just assume that as cannabis users we're that irresponsible? that
Yeah.
that we can't be trusted.
Yeah.
So
That's
when you're
exactly what they
shithouse
think.
drunk on half a bottle of whiskey and you
Ooh.
pass out with it laying on the floor and like whatever, like that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if like
The alcohol
So-
industry has lobbyists, though.
yeah, I don't know.
So I-
But I
Lots of
smoke some
money.
weed at night and like I'm not all blackout. Like I'm like, and I go and put my pipe away and grab like, 5 pints of ice cream and go lay down somewhere and gorge myself. Like,
When's the last time you saw common sense work in politics, work in the government? Never.
sometimes. The more local you get, the more government makes sense. The more you move away from the people and the source, the less government makes sense to me, anyways. When you have real people coming together in like town halls and community meetings and stuff, some real common sense shit does get done. So you can't like bundle all politics into it. Now, politics on like a federal level, like that, like upper echelon of politics, like
But that's what they're hiding from.
I guess. But I think
Well, there's
it's
super conservative states out there that are,
But it's-
people are scared to death of cannabis and they know nothing about it. And their Christian group is telling everybody about them. They're shooting up that marijuana.
Yeah.
And they're
well,
believing
that's
it.
that's how you do it.
Shocked
Yeah.
Oklahoma. I
Wait,
was
you can
shocked
shoot it
Oklahoma
up?
the other day.
Wait,
That's what they're saying.
wait.
My lungs don't work. You can shoot it up.
Yeah, you can snort it. It's
Wow.
crazy. Yeah. No, I agree with that. And definitely there's a lot of paranoia on a federal level. As you know, I had to work with some people in Alabama, like Mike Ball and Mr. Jeff Sessions, and it's a mental block almost. Like it has been so ingrained in some people's heads that this is a narcotic and it ruins your life and it destroys families and it kills people. And then when you try to give them common sense information, it's almost like you're a double fucking agent. You're trying to trick them into the devil's weed or something, you know? So it is a difficult wall to break down. Luckily, with like hemp and CBD, though, I think we're starting to cross a line where it's like, because how we got the law passed in Alabama, it wasn't a right to use drugs. It was a right to life issue. This is saving people's lives. If God put, how to explain it to them, if God put a plant on this earth that can save somebody's life, shouldn't we be using it? Isn't that their right to choose what they put into their own? Oh, well, yeah, of course it is. There we go.
There we go.
So, yeah, but the disconnect between that and the, I just imagine they see some guy like, 1960s comic with the big long shoes and the walking down the road high as shit. Maybe he goes and listens to some jazz music.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's getting
That's
all
all changing.
and he's getting all the kids
boomers
high.
are dying off.
Yeah.
Everybody went to high school where they saw
What the hell
marijuana.
happened with the baby boomers? You're like near that generation. You're obviously not that generation, but like I'm sure you grew up with people that were, like how I saw it was like they were like the fucking peace, love, and drugs. Let's have a great time. And then it turned into the generation of like, all of this stuff is terrible and you should never do it. And like, that's so weird how
They
that
had
works.
kids and responsibility, and then family pressures,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff, and then peer pressures, and then making it in your business world, and of course the bosses frown on any kind of cannabis use, so you better frown on any kind of cannabis
Yeah, I
use.
guess
If you want your job to pay your bills, and that's a long road to go down to.
Yeah.
I guess, I come from a place where I'm constantly surrounded by people that are so passionate about cannabis that it's like it also blinds us on this side to what the regular person thinks about it. Like to us, walking in my backyard and seeing my 6 medical plants, to us, it's like, oh man, what's it like to be growing so small? But to somebody else, they walk back here and be like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? You're allowed to do this? Like, is this okay? Yeah, I think so.
Right?
Fine. I don't know.
So they told me this week.
Right.
I have a friend from Colorado that visits, and like, he's totally out of this. And it's so fun to see my life through his eyes when he tails around with me for a couple days. Just like, oh my God. That whole, this
Right.
is real.
Well, it must have been like that for the agents that came to your house as well, because it's not like, they may see images of farms or get taught in a class somewhere that like, these are the kind of people to look out for. And this is, these are the signs. When you're watching Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, You know, when they're at the DEA convention, they're talking about how to notice a stoner, you know, like something, you know, they get those kind of classes and they come to somebody like Yours Farm and it's like, wow, these are just chill, normal people who
We
live
went and
a
had
farming
pizza with them,
right, you know, like
beer and hung out. And
Yeah.
AJ, while you're on the topic, AJ, one of the agents that was there, he wrote the first the marijuana study on mold in cannabis.
yeah.
And he had never seen the plant before. He'd only gotten samples from University of Mississippi.
Right.
When he was at my farm, he was just, his jaw dropped.
Well, I'm sure there wasn't a lack of mold at the Mississippi cannabis factory.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen pictures of the plants growing there. They're not happy.
No, they're
Anyways.
not. They're not happy. You know.
So what did he figure out from that? Like, is there? Is
Well,
it?
there wasn't. You know, they wrote the report, and there's been subsequent reports
Mm-hmm.
written from that report, and you know, eventually they want to come back to a more sophisticated operation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always wondered that because definitely, what was it, 2 years ago when we got hit by the typhoon, right in the middle of harvest, and
And it sat off the coast for like
Yeah.
15 days.
yeah, and we're just
and
like
waves and waves.
we're like twitching every day. Like,
know.
is it time? Is it time? And then when that thing hit, there was definitely a lot of mold in the air.
Oh yeah.
And I definitely had problems breathing. Respiratory issues. I got a chest infection afterwards. So knowing like, and I think it's important for people that work in this industry to know it's like that shit can happen.
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
no
like
doubt.
lack of people wearing safety stuff while spraying certain things. They're like, oh, I've done this 20 times, and it's like, that doesn't mean it's been good for you
Yeah.
20
Right,
times.
exactly.
Like, I drank this orange juice 20 times. Awesome. That's awesome. I sprayed this shit and I breathed it in 20 times. Well, probably not great. Probably not a great
No,
idea.
You know, the winds are blowing. It's blowing back on you. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
these superfine mists.
What's sad is I see where like a corporate farm that we kind of hate, they have all that stuff. They have the showers.
Yeah.
They have the air mask. It's the little guy
Yeah.
that's just out there winging it every day.
A respirator and coveralls is cheap.
Right.
No doubt.
It's
Right.
cheap. If I can afford it, it's cheap. And
Yeah.
it's good. But I think, you know, they're so worried about things like we need to make sure that there's 800 cameras on every plant
Right.
and 20-foot walls with
On every-
sniper
every
towers
angle.
and put it in steel boxes, that they're more worried about the product than they are about the people. The laws on these sorts of things are, you know, OSHA, I guess, but like they don't even know what to say about it. It's like, have you ever run an auto trimmer before, a big leaf? Or you ever run one of those? No, well, go ahead. It's easy. Just do this. I'll
Keep
see
your
you
fi-
later.
Watch your
Yeah.
fingers.
You know?
Watch your
oh, here's your trimmer machine. Yeah, just put it in there. It's fine.
My
Yeah,
training course was awesome. See that? It will take your finger off. You can touch it. You can not get your finger in there, but if you try to put your finger in there,
It'll go
you're going to
through.
lose your finger.
yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we saw that last year. Remember?
There was some pictures going around
Yeah.
that
Oh,
was,
yeah.
Rookies were getting hit.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And
And
we had that machine, and it was like I don't understand how that was even possible.
Well,
I don't
agriculture's
understand how it's
Yeah.
possible. They had to be cleaning it with everything
The
apart
one-
and then turn it on.
no, I mean,
way.
when you take one of those sides off, underneath, if you got like a pileup happening, you run your hand underneath there and get your fingers caught. That-
Yeah, it's
something
snap-
But I
Take
mean,
it right
really,
off.
you'd have to take the side off and put your
Yeah.
fucking hand into the machine
Yeah.
to do that,
Yeah.
which is not a good idea. If you want to move that stuff, get a stick.
turn it off.
Turn it off.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Turn it off.
This is why I don't work the assembly line anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a flow and a cadence and all that stuff, and all safety is really important. You know, I grew up in San Diego, and Hispanics taught me how to work, and it's all about slow and steady. Don't get all carried away, and you know, burn yourself out in 2 days and not show up. Slow and steady, just keep going and
But
going.
consistently,
and going.
just
Consistently.
like
oh yeah,
nonstop.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
definitely.
And you know, it's a cultural thing, I think, too. Like, I have friends, Shane and Odie down
Yeah, I
there,
was
and
thinking
they
about
have
that.
they have farming crews that come in and work for them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just like, it's amazing. It's just
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
they're
machine
machines.
Yeah.
that,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know,
It's a working machine.
yeah,
Does it.
You show them what to do once, they master it, and they just.
yeah.
John is
They
getting
knock
a
stuff
taste
out.
of that. And he's coming back to where we're calling it all over, you know, because we have to do everything up here.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I wish that we could just have one team to water, one team to transplant. That's
Right.
all they do.
Right.
You know? They don't even know how to water. They just know how to clone. You know.
I mean, that sounds good, but I wouldn't want everybody to know how to do everything.
Oh yeah, but yeah, we just came up different.
The foreman knows everything.
Yeah.
Well, it's best, to keep everybody healthy, to move everybody
Yeah.
around.
That's
Yeah.
what I like.
And then they're more versatile. If somebody
Yeah.
doesn't come in, or something happens to them and they're not there anymore, one of the other guys can
the way I look at it.
pop right in. But if and if you rotate people around, that's really good for the worker too, because
Yeah.
they're not doing the same thing over and over and over again.
And you know how to set the job up for the next guy, what he's going to need because you've
Yes.
done that.
Because
job.
you've done the other job too,
You know
which
you
is
want
key.
it. Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Right.
I just want people that can cut a crap. Like, I watch the literal crap ton of clones that get cut, and like the rooting percentage is awesome, and the beautiful clones they make. Like, I don't mind cloning. Like, I like it, but like,
I'm not the biggest fan.
like if I'm like, I need 10,000 cuts off of those over there, like, and that just happens, like,
Yeah.
like, that'd
Taking
be
cuts,
so
I could
nice.
do that all day.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's
yeah.
fun, but
Actually doing the rest of it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I will.
Yeah, but no, there's
all
that.
I'm saying is, like, if it's 200 clones, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Once I say 10,000 clones
Yeah.
or
Not
12,
all about it.
no, I'm not all about it anymore. Like, yeah.
I
that's
got to
awesome.
visit a large facility, CBD facility in Denver or in Colorado, and they had literally a Walmart set up, and they had 4 people that's all they did was make clones, and they would start out at one end, and it would take them like, I don't know, 10 days to get to the end of just making endless amount of clones.
Yeah.
And then they would start back over.
I was about to say, by the
Right.
time they get to that end, there's enough stretch on the other end to do it all over
Oh,
again.
yeah, yeah.
That's so fucking rad.
Right.
I got pictures of it somewhere. I'll pull it up after the show and
That's
show you
awesome.
guys. It was crazy.
It is.
And to see these guys, they totally had their act down. They had guys
Right.
that nothing. All they did was cut them, and then they had all the ladies that dipped them and
Right.
put them into little
Have you-
teapots.
Have you seen the pictures that Ray will send you sometimes? Mm-hmm. And like you look at when the cloners have gone through, and like every razor mark is 45 degrees,
Oh yeah.
a quarter of an inch long.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like clockwork on every stem. Just it's like a machine.
Well, let's hope we can hold on to all those good workers.
Right.
Yeah.
No doubt
Agreed.
about it. They've been a huge asset
Absolutely.
Yeah.
to our country, no doubt.
Anything else going on? We're getting towards the end
Yeah.
here, so if you got anything you want to push or talk
I don't
about,
know, man.
or
We've been smoking a lot of weed, and I'm feeling
Ah,
pretty good right now.
Tell
you
a
know?
story. You got
Tell a
some
story.
sketchy
Guys,
farm you went to.
Oh, I don't want to throw.
I
I don't want
love
to
those
throw. I don't want to throw anybody.
so
under
one
the
time I
bus.
went to
We'll
this
talk later.
podcast in this fucking
Right.
backyard with this weird fucking
It was a
dudes.
trap.
No, what's scary is like I went to a farm last year. I'm not going to name any farms, but they brought us into the farm, and they had like, I don't know, 3 big greenhouses, and they were touring us at their farm, and they were all proud of their powdery mildew weed.
Yeah.
And they're
I was
whipping
there.
cameras out, and I'm like grabbing the camera and going,
No. That's
no,
today.
no,
Yeah.
put it down,
Right.
put it down. We're gonna nod, smile. We're gonna get the hell out of here because we don't want to bring anything with us.
Right.
You know. Well, you want to tour the rest of the farm? Yeah, let's go see the rest of the farm. Don't worry, we've seen plenty of cannabis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom. So you
Did
see
they
that?
just
Oh, yeah.
not know?
I think they do, but they didn't think it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Huh.
And even their babies were like covered. So
Oh,
it was
yeah.
definitely systemic. And
Yeah.
A protective coating never hurts,
Right.
right? Good Lord.
It's like that swamp.
yeah, but then those protective coatings. Well, that's a whole nother story. The neem and stuff, and then the
No, what I'm saying is the powdery mildew is the protective coating.
yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah,
it's
that-
just extra trikes, It just adds extra frost to your
Right.
product, right? And it gives it
Little-
that
gives you a little more cough.
gives you that cheese smell.
Oh, gross.
I don't know. Just see powdery mildew, just cut everything down.
Right.
Fuck it.
We,
Oh, yeah.
where we live above the 45th parallel, so we're way the heck up there. It's right up the road, and when we harvest on our farm, it's all how long the plant will go. The first wilted leaf, and the whole thing is done.
Oh no, man! This
know
is
what I
this
mean?
is Eugene, Oregon. We get it. You're watching. You're hoping it's gonna finish. It never does.
It never
finish
does.
to where
And
you
that
want
one
it.
leaf goes like this, and you go, "Oh shit!"
You're like
You're
that,
down right this second.
that boy.
because I know
That boytritis
tomorrow
is
I'll
about to
have
be
more.
through. Right.
Yeah, I was gonna eat right through your planet.
Right.
Forget trying to cut it out and any of that nonsense.
No, it's a
Take it
losing
down
battle.
Instantly.
In the system, that's hard to do.
Oh, I know.
You add the system into that, you got to take that whole crop down.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And then you got to give 36 hours notice, 24-hour notice now. So how does that
Yeah.
work? You know,
Right.
especially that's how
That-
we've done it forever.
That shit is interesting to me. Like another one of those things of completely understanding the people and their needs in the industry and just worried about how much control or how much they can study what it is that we're doing. But like, that isn't how this works. You don't schedule
Your watermelon
indoor
harvest.
where like we could actually do a better job of scheduling a cut down. They don't care about that. It's the outdoor is when
It
they
is
want you to
interesting.
schedule it, and like 90% of that is dictated by nature, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so like,
It's agriculture
hold on,
product.
Oregon, let me give nature a call and see when it's planning on fucking me up. Like, yeah,
No doubt.
it doesn't make much sense. But I guess they think that like maybe it is. Like, I don't want to use the word paranoid, but I'm cautious. I have too much to lose in this industry, and I'm sure it's like you, and like so much is going well that to like push little bullshit to just try to get a little extra just ain't worth it. To
It
me.
ain't worth it. No.
But do you think there are people like cutting down plants and like, I'm gonna take this branch and I'm gonna sell it on the black market for like, is that like,
Gotta be a few.
There are.
yeah,
There are.
I don't know. I don't.
A few. They
like,
rationalize it.
like it's hard for me to see it, but like,
Oh, there's gotta be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if if they think they're gonna sell it on the black market. Maybe they're thinking, "Well, here's a little personal for me,"
oh, maybe.
I'm not thinking that they're, gonna.
Yeah, right.
There's no money in the black market.
But I think the
anyways.
state's reasoning is that so much of it is being diverted to the black market.
Well,
Oh,
you
yeah.
they
know,
just
like-
built a task force for the border on Idaho. Along
Really?
that, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's they're beefing up security because they were saying of the 2 million pounds we made, we could only consume 250 max, so it has to go somewhere. You know.
Oh,
And
I
it's
thought
like-
it was more like 400. You guys consume like 400,000
That's what I
pounds.
think.
Me
I
too.
think so,
4 to
yeah.
5, easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy.
And then
Especially
my
since-
campaign is that everybody smokes their own joint.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you can't, no more passing the joints around. There's
Thank
enough
you.
weed out. You like your
you.
joint the way you like it. I
So-
like mine. So let's just smoke
so
our own.
My
joints.
And
pipe
being in the-
always just sits in front of me.
Yeah.
If you notice when you're handing the pipe around, I don't take it. I load my bowl and I'll
Yep.
just sit there and smoke it.
It's an occupational
If anybody
thing.
comes over without weed or without a bowl, I'll go get them one. But
Yeah.
like the idea and like that old school, like, well, smoke a corner so everybody gets a green hit.
Yeah.
And like, if I'm smoking my own bowl, I can
Make it
just
funny.
smoke it the way I fucking want to smoke it. I don't have to worry about, hey, Jim, you want to hit this ass I have? Like, I agree with you. You know, it's like having a beer.
It's part of
Do,
it,
do you
though.
hand
Sharing
beers
it
back
out.
and forth?
Hell,
No.
No.
But it's not the way it's been. It's just part of it now.
I think
In
you
our
can
brains,
socialize.
it is.
Sure. You know, back in the day when you and all your buddies got together and you got enough money for that eighth of the
Yeah.
good,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and like you're all rolling out little knife hits or whatever, or, you know, you're all passing the bowl and getting, you know, there's 8 of us, so everybody just hit an eighth of the bowl.
And everybody
like,
wants
yeah.
the top knot. You know, and it's a
Yeah.
big struggle.
Yeah.
Who's getting the top knot? I don't know. Let's roll for it.
Absolutely. It just ain't that way anymore.
No.
You can buy the shit in stores. It
Well, I learned all
exists.
about smoking my own while I was in Spain. Because now in Spain, everybody's mixing their cannabis with tobacco or the hash with the tobacco or the cannabis with the hash. And so everybody smokes their own over there. So actually, when I left Emerald Cup last year, I went with a couple of the guys and we went on a little tour. He goes, they go, we're going to drive up. They, I'm all, you want me to go with you? They go, heck yeah, come with us. So I took them to a bunch of places and, it was they all smoked individually because each person liked it a different way. And
Yeah.
so that way, and when I went to Spain, everybody smoked that way. So I just roll my own joints and sit there and smoke.
Nice.
And now I'm at the farm and people are looking at me because I'm just sitting there smoking their joint because I forget to pass it,
Yeah.
So
It's like
and
you
then
don't
I'm
care.
like, here. Now you got your own too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good way to consume more cannabis.
Yeah.
We all need
Right.
to smoke
We
our
need-
own joints.
We need that uptick of about 600%.
right?
Yeah.
There we go.
Look, I'm out there trying. I'm taking your slack.
You're a champ.
Every day. Me and Matt consume tons of weed every day at work.
know.
It's okay. We got you.
I know. I don't know how you do it.
All right, we're hitting that
Yeah,
wall.
I've
We're
had the
actually
wall.
we're
Hit the
over
wall.
we're
All
All
overtime.
right, this has been awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Again,
course.
very soon. Really enjoyed it.
I'm really
and
stoked about the barbecue.
I know.
that is how we trick people to come here.
It's
Oh,
actually.
you guys talk to me and you go, "You want to come down?"
Yeah.
I go, "Man, what's on the barbecue?"
You gave us pork. You're like, I want something pork,
Yeah.
and so Andy thought about pork, and then you just went with the most
The most pork thing you can have.
Yeah.
Pork belly.
Sweet. Perfect.
the fanciest.
I always want to do a shoulder, but it takes so damn long.
But like burnt ends of pork belly
Oh, it
is
doesn't get
like
better than
it
that.
really doesn't when you talk about the pig.
Right?
That's why I went with that.
Like maybe cheek, but there's only 2 of those.
We haven't done a shoulder yet in the doing these. We've done like 10 or 11.
Are we
shows
doing
now.
one for
Because
barbecue
you
and
know what it takes
beef?
to do a shoulder. I gotta get up before in the morning, come over here and start that smoker. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
No,
You're
the
gonna
pork belly will do fine, I'm sure.
You're gonna do one in September?
I am, buddy.
Are you for the barbecue competition we're doing?
Maybe if we do it.
Yeah.
If we do it, we're gonna
We should
win.
have time then.
We're gonna win.
Too excited about doing that.
All right, everybody. We'll
Thank
catch
you.
you next time.
All right.
Ciao.
See ya.
That's awesome.